You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is U.S. Congressman Neil Abercrombie. Mr. Abercrombie has been given numerous awards within his lifetime, including Favorite University of Hawaii Professor, Most Popular Legislator of the Year Award, and the Japanese American Citizens League President's Award, to name a few. So can you continue telling us, Congressman, about the enthusiasm when you meet with these people over and over, and yet still have the enthusiasm to continue to give back to our community?
Well, first of all, I got to lobby with you guys, because if you're supposed to be fiercely loyal, I got a Shetland sheepdog that I think is just as good as the one that's on the commercials, In fact, there's probably a good way to answer your question there about when you meet with people. Just this last week, at least from the time we're doing this interview, I went up to Manoa, to Noelani School, because they were having a legislative meeting that day. So I went up there as a constituent, and I brought my dog, my Shetland sheepdog that I was talking about, because we want to get a dog park up there at Manoa. And, of course, in the end, I ended up coming up in the front because I got invited up because so many questions came up that involved federal side of some of the issues that were involved in the city and the state. But the reason I went there was to advocate for that, to advocate for the dog park, and to work on graffiti issues, because I've been a city councilman in the past also. And I think that destroys a sense of a neighborhood. So even at the most basic level, the most basic constituent level, the things that affect you in your home and in your immediate community, your sense of the continuity in the community, the beauty in the community, where you don't want to be assaulted by graffiti and that kind of thing. You have to be involved in that, just like the big issues about war and peace that I deal with every day on the Armed Services Committee that I serve on, or on the Resources Committee where we deal with national parks and oceans and royalties from mineral exploration, those kinds of things. So the way I keep it up is that the things that I have interest in and the things that I understand affect me as an individual in the community, I feel obligated to try and translate that into both my civic duty as a taxpayer and a member of the community, and in my professional capacity, if you will, because the faith and trust of people has been placed in me as a representative.
So where are you from? How'd you get to Hawaii?
Oh, that was my lucky day. I was born originally, of course you were born originally, right? I just thought of what I would say. I was born originally as opposed to unoriginally. I was born in Buffalo, New York, and went to school in New York State until my senior year in college, when I saw a little poster on the wall in the middle of the dead of winter, cold and dark and freezing. And there was a little yellow poster with a green palm tree on it. It said University of Hawaii scholarships, right, for graduate school. So I applied, and I was lucky enough to get one in sociology. So with statehood in 1959, I came to Hawaii, and of course I never left. I realized I was in paradise in about 10 minutes.
So what was your path into politics? Were you working as a social worker?
No. In graduate school at the UH, and as I indicated earlier in the program, I was very much interested in civil rights activity. Then one needs to recall, in the last century, that in 1959 and 60, the civil rights movement was very moving real big, and there was the beginning of calls for redress for the internment of Japanese Americans who had been held in detention camps. In fact, again, on this day that we're doing our interview, we just there has just been a commemoration of the folks who were held against their will at Honouliuli. That has disappeared, literally disappeared. You can't even find where those folks were kept, but it's a real historical fact. And so I was very sensitive to the fact that Japanese Americans had been held in detention camps, and that was a civil rights issue. And of course, voting for minorities, particularly black people in the United States, was an issue to the point that, dogs were attacking people and civil rights demonstrators were being beaten and put in jail. We don't even think about that. I shouldn't say we don't think about it, but Martin Luther King had no holiday in those days. Martin Luther King was being denounced in those days. And There was the Freedom Riders and all that. So at the UH, I became very much involved in Speakers Bureau to bring people to the campus who could speak on these issues, and I became involved in it that way at the UH, and then of course got involved in community activity in addition.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.